up, world? We're 18 back at it again. Welcome to episode 129. Thank you for all the people watching me for the first time. Hope you liked the video. Go back and check out my other video. Maybe you find something you like. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share. Thank you to those who've been with me since the beginning. Truly appreciate you guys for sticking around, liking my videos, watching my videos. Makes me want to do better videos. You can tell the progression. You can tell I've gotten better. I appreciate you guys for sticking around. Like I said, this is episode 129. Today's video is going to be some of my favorite non-comic book based superhero movies. These are like original ideas, and to my surprise, there were quite a few of them, but these are my favorite. So sit back, relax, and check it out. So my first movie I'm going to talk about is Meteor Man, 1993 movie. The cast of this movie is amazing. So it has some of the best black actors from comedians, actors, or whatever, from the early 90s, late 80s in this movie. I can't believe he got some of these people to be in this movie, too. So it's starring Robert Townsend, Marla Gibbs, Eddie Griffin, James L. Jones, Bill Cosby, Sinbad, Faison Love, Another Bad Creation, Cypress Hill, Naughty by Nature, Big Daddy Kane, Don Cheadle, and Luther Vandross. First of all, how did he get Bill Cosby to get in this movie? Bill Cosby was the biggest thing in TV with the Cosby Show. He had the #1 show for years, and this was like at the height of his bigness or whatever. And he got Bill Cosby to do this movie, and he had like a nice little role in the movie too. But the cast is amazing. I love the cast. I love that it's pretty much an all-black cast. Great movie. So here's the plot of the movie. So the guy, Jefferson, his character is Jefferson Reed, played by Robert Townsend. He's a mild-mannered school teacher in Washington, D.C. His neighborhood is being terrorized by a local gang called the Golden Lords. Now, the Golden Lords are hilarious. First of all, the name is funny. And there is a bunch of black dudes with gold hair, and they have like black and gold like costume on. It's hilarious. So funny. And they even have kids. The little kids are called the Young Lords or something. And then they got the Teenage Lords. It's fucking hilarious.
Baby Lords. Junior Lords.
So these guys are like the main protagonists in this movie. And it's super funny. So back to the story. Reed gets struck by a meteor one night. He ends up in the hospital and he finds out he has powers. So his power set is ridiculous. He's like if he were to fight like regular superhero, he'd be the most powerful superhero ever. His powers include X-ray vision, laser vision, superhuman strength, speed and hearing, invulnerability, healing powers, the ability to absorb a book's content by touch, super breath, telepathy with dogs, which he uses to communicate with his own dog, Ellington, and telekinesis. So this motherfucker has Superman's powers, Wolverine's powers. He has powers like Professor X. He's literally one of the most powerful superheroes ever. Which is pretty cool because he's a black dude too. So his mom makes his costume. There's a montage of her making a bunch of different costumes, which is super funny. And she finally figures out the right kind of costume he takes on. That's going to be a costume for the rest of the movie or whatever. So as Meteor Man, he shuts down crack houses, stops robberies, and brings peace to the neighborhood. So in the end, Reed loses his powers. I guess the meteor powers wore off or whatever. And the neighborhood comes together to stop the villains over the Golden Lords.
Thanks. Anytime you need us, man.
So this is a good movie for the time it came out. Superhero movies weren't a big thing back in the day. I think you had Superman, like Swamp Thing, Howard the Duck. but it wasn't really a big genre back in the day. I think this worked, especially for me as a kid growing up. You don't see a lot of black superheroes, a lot of black positive images or whatever. So I watched this movie a lot growing up, and watching it again, I thought I brought back a lot of good memories from watching it or whatever. Um, the special effects, of course, don't stand up because it came out in '94, so or '93 or whatever. So of course the special effects don't come up. But for the time, it's all right. Um, I thought it was a good movie. I thought the comedy was pretty good. I thought the acting was superb because a lot of these people in this movie had their own shows or whatever. Um, it was super corny, but it was still good for an early '90s superhero movie. You can watch it on Netflix, Disney Plus, and Amazon Prime. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. Check it out if you have seen it, especially if you've seen it when you was little. It brings back a lot of good memories if you had good memories of watching this movie. So that's going to be Meteor Man. The next movie that I'm going to be talking about is Blank Man, 1994 movie starring Damon Wayans, David Allen Greer, Robin Givens, Jason Alexander. This movie is hilarious. One of the funniest movies ever, in my opinion. Damon Wayans and David Allen Greer was at their peak. They were coming off of A Living Color. Robin Givens was like a superstar at the time. She was doing movies with Eddie Murphy. She was dating Mike Tyson, I think, at the time. So this movie was pretty relevant back in the day. So this movie is about Daryl and Kevin Walker, their brothers, played by Damon Wayans and David Allen Greer. So as kids, they grew up watching Adam West Batman television series. First of all, I love that Batman show with Adam West. It was super corny, but it was funny. It came on the syndication. I watched it all the time. I think it came on Fox, I believe, when I was growing up. I don't really remember, but I know I watched it all the time. So back to the story. Now grown up, Daryl is a nerdy repairman. Kevin is a tabloid news cameraman. So Daryl's super smart. He makes a lot of inventions, and that's his thing. And they show that throughout the movie. So they live with their grandmother. One night, their grandmother is murdered, and Daryl decides to become a vigilante like Batman. So he uses weapons and gadgets that he's made. He's super funny because his brother is super annoyed by him. He's like, he's stupid. He shouldn't be doing this. He can get killed.
And then he talking to the buckle. It also has a radio tracking device.
You need to get that out of my face. I'm not wearing that crap.
Please, Kevin?
No.
He makes this suit that is like bulletproof or whatever. So eventually Kevin joins them, and they give him the nickname The Other Guy. So they called him Blank Man, and then they saw the other guy name stuck to his friend, his brother or whatever. So that became his nickname, The Other Guy and Blank Man.
Blank Man and some other guy in a mask, they were abducted.
Ooh, Sammy, you bad. Shoot me.
So the abridged version of the movie, they fight crime. They find the guy who kills their grandmother and brings him to justice. Blank Man also has a love interest, which is Robin Givens. He when she kisses him, he has a reaction. It is so funny. I remember this growing up. I didn't really get it, but as an adult watching it, it is so fucking funny watching his reaction to when he kisses. You gotta watch it. It's funny. And he has his interaction with his robot J5 is funny too. That's the robot he invented. It's like his psychic before the other guy shows up. It's an original superhero movie with guys with no superpowers, which is pretty cool. They're black superheroes, which I truly enjoyed, and I liked it as a kid. Watching somebody that looks like me in a movie being a superhero was pretty cool, even though it was corny. The movie stands up today because it's a parody of superhero shit, and it's funny. It's actually as a superhero comedy parody film. So movies like this, it doesn't have a lot of special effects. I think they hold up a lot because it's not a lot of special effects, and it relies on the comedy, which is super funny, and it's super corny, and it works out for a movie that came out in '94. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. You'll definitely laugh. There's no way you won't laugh at least one time. You can find it on Amazon, Google Play Movies, Apple TV, Fandango, or it'd probably be like $4. It's not that bad. You can probably find it for free somewhere, but Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, watch it again because it still holds up today. So that's going to be it for Blank Man. The next movie I'm going to talk about, a more realistic movie, Unbreakable. Came out in 2000, starring Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, Robin Wright. I love this movie because it's based in reality. I think it was filmed in Philadelphia, and it's like a real. It feels like a real story, a real like it could happen to you type story, you know. So the story goes: Bruce Willis' character David Dunn possesses super strength enough to rip off a car door. He bench presses 500 pounds, breaks down a steel door, bends metal bars. He can hurl grown men several feet with tremendous force. He was able to weaken a tank while submerged in the water until it broke. He has nigh invulnerability that renders him immune to disease and injuries, including traumas and shocks that would kill normal human beings.
How much did you put on that time?
All of it. How much is it, Dad?
About 350 pounds.
Additionally, he possesses the ability of psychometry, which is he is able to intuitively read the minds of others, particularly as they relate to acts of violence and immorality by touching them.
The second.
And also, along with their powers, superheroes have to have a weakness, I guess. And his is super whack. He has weakness to water. Being exposed to water weakens him and drains him of strength. He has near-death experience when he nearly drowned as a young kid due to children trying to push him in the water. As a result, he wears a long hooded raincoat as part of his vigilante disguise. That that weakness is kind of whack, but whatever. His protagonist, Samuel L. Jackson character, Elijah Price. Mr. Glass is a character with a unique power, exceptional intellect, and strategic planning abilities, coupled with the debilitating genetic condition called osteogenesis imperfecta, making his bones as brittle as glass. Essentially, his mind is incredibly sharp, but his body is extremely fragile.
I have something called osteogenesis imperfecta. Bones very low in density, very easy to break. 54 breaks in my life are type 2, type 3, type 4.
He's a mastermind. His weakness is his brittle bones, of course, which is why he's called Mr. Glass. He believes in the comic book theory, ordinary people with extraordinary abilities, and actively seeks these people to bring them together, fulfill a twisted vision.
I believe comics are our last link to an ancient way of passing on history.
So the story goes, he doesn't want to be Dunn doesn't want to be a superhero. His son encourages him to do it. He eventually starts to do superhero shit. They meet Eliza and becomes cordial. Fast forward, David meets Eliza's elderly mother, who explains the difference between villains and who fight heroes with physical strength and those who use their intelligence.
The soldier villain who fights the hero with his hands. And then there's the real threat, the brilliant and evil archenemy.
Eliza asks David to shake his hand, which revealed Eliza was responsible for numerous high-profile accidents, including David's train crash, to find his superhero rival.
I think this is where we shake hands.
Passengers aren't allowed in there.
Eliza tells David, now that we know who you are, I know who I am. He adopts his childhood nickname, Mr. Glass, which is funny because he goes, now I get it why they call me Mr. Glass. It was the kids. It's funny at the end of the movie.
I should have known way back when. You know why, David? Because of the kids.
They called me Mr. Glass.
David reports Eliza crimes to the police, and Eliza is confined to a psychiatric hospital for the criminally insane. So this movie spawned 2 movies afterwards, like 17 years apart, which is crazy because sequels don't usually take that long to come out. But now I guess it does because I guess Come to America 2 took like 20 years to come out, whatever. So Split came out in 2017, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and Glass came out in 2019, which I enjoyed also. You can find the movie on Google Play, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Fandango at home. You have to pay a little bit for it, about $4, but it's not a bad movie. It's a great movie if you haven't seen it, and it directly relates to Split and Glass. Definitely a good watch. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. A black villain, I like that. It was pretty cool. See, he's a super villain, so definitely check it out if you haven't seen it, and that's going to be Unbreakable. The next movie is Hancock. I love this movie. I love Will Smith too. Came out in 2008, starring Will Smith, Charlize Theron, Jason Bateman, and Eddie Marsan. Like I said, I'm a fan of Will Smith. This is actually one of my favorite Will Smith movies. It's an original superhero movie. So the movie is about an amnesic, alcoholic, restless superhero trying to remember his past named John Hancock. His power, he's Superman pretty much. His powers include flight, invulnerabilities, and super strength. He tries to do good, but he's not good at doing good. He causes so much damage and chaos, and trying to do right is fucking ridiculous. It's so funny how he tries to do so much good, but he tears up the city while he's doing it. It's funny. So he meets Ray, who is Jason Bateman. Ray is a public relations person. He tries to turn him into a good guy. He tries to make him change his whole image or whatever. So he tells him to turn himself into jail. A bunch of funny shit goes down in jail. He puts this dude's head up another guy's ass. It's just ridiculously funny.
You don't move, your head is going up his ass.
So while he's in jail, the crime rate rises, and he is eventually released. He meets Ray's wife, who has the same power as Hancock. He found out they were together. It's a whole dumb story about how they were married and they broke up, and then he loses his powers when they are far apart. When they're together, they're supposed to become human eventually. This is when the movie falls apart for me, pretty much, when their whole story comes to an end. And they have their little fight.
All right, hold it. All right. Better not hit me with that truck.
And he gets his memory back. The movie falls apart because in the end, there's nobody that can match up to him. He's fighting against regular humans, and the story is there's nothing that can stop him. It's pretty much invincible, and it just doesn't make any sense in the end. I still like the movie, but I don't like the way it ends, and the bad guys have really no story. It's just dumb. So they say his primary weakness is his own reckless behavior, arrogance, and a lack of self-awareness, which often leads to collateral damage, public disapproval, coupled with the fact that his power is diminished when he's in proximity to the wife, Mary Embry, making him vulnerable to harm if he stays around her for too long. There's more action scenes. He saves the day and eventually becomes a hero he was meant to be at the end. Like I said, it's a great first half of the movie. He's Superman pretty much. I like the movie. Like I said, the second half falls apart. But in the end, I think it's a great movie. If you want to watch it, you can watch it on Philo, YouTube, Apple TV, Amazon Prime, Sling TV, Google Play, and Fandango at home. Good movie. I thoroughly enjoy it, and I like Will Smith. He's funny. He does his Will Smith thing. That's gonna do it for Hancock. And the last movie is gonna be one of my favorite movies, in the past 20 years. One of my favorite superhero movie, Chronicle, a 2012 movie starring Dane DeHaan, Michael B. Jordan, Alex Russell, Michael Kelly. This is an underrated movie. A lot of people don't know about it. This movie is fantastic. It's a super different take on superhero movies. What if regular kids in real world got powers? It's based in reality. I think they're in Seattle. What would they do with these powers? How would they cope? How would they change their life? So it's about 3 high school kids in different groups. You have Steve, played by Michael B. Jordan, who's a popular kid, football star, he's a jock. Andrew, who's played by Dane DeHaan, who's a bully kid, and his cousin, Matt, who who's just a regular kid.
Mom, you spin television. Man, you're on the film, man. Pretty on camera. Come on, man, you.
Hey, you! Hey, guy!
What?
Vote for Steve for senior class president.
So the movie is filmed like a found footage film at times. They're always recording their actions or whatever. So they're all invited to a party. They all leave and start filming in the woods. They find a glowing crystal object. The camera blacks out. And I guess they come back a few days later.
What am I looking at? Ah, shit. I'm freaking out right now.
A few days later, Matt, Andrew, and Steve have developed telekinetic abilities, though they suffer nosebleeds when they overexert themselves. Unable to revisit a hole after it's been closed off by the police, they start using the abilities to play pranks on people. But it goes too far when Andrew telekinetically pushes a rude motorist off the road into a nearby lake.
Whoa! Andrew! Oh, shit! What the hell did you just do?
Steve manages to save a man from drowning, but Matt insists they restrict the use of powers, particularly against living beings. They eventually discover they have the ability to fly. Richard and Steve get into a fight. While flying, Richard unintentionally uses his powers to fatally strike Steve with lightning.
Steve, I'm telling you, get away from me! Get away from me now! Please!
Andrew begins to identify himself as an apex predator, and he says he should not be guilty for using his power to hurt those bigger than him. The cousin realizes that Andrew has
human beings. We're considered the apex predator, but only because like smaller animals can't feed on us because of weapons and stuff. You do not feel guilty when you squash a fly, and I think that means something.
He must let the power go to his head, and he knows that he has to stop him. He ends up killing his cousin in a fight in downtown Seattle. Sometime later, Matt lands in Tibet with Andrew's camera. He films one last video where he apologizes to Andrew, vows to use his powers for good, and promises to discover the truth about what happened to them. He points the camera at a Tibetan monastery in the distance before flying away, leaving the camera behind. Very good movie. I love the whole story. I wish there was a part 2 showing what he did with those powers or showing the origin of the crystal that gave him the power, because they never went back to the crystal, which I didn't like. Like, where did they come from? And why did these powers come to be? Who put the crystal there? They never came back to that. And I like the dynamic that they were regular kids and they got these powers. They didn't really know what to do with these powers, so they was joking around, playing around and shit, like a regular person would do. And then the nerd kid who was always bullied took it to an extreme because he never had powers like this before, and he thought it was up to him to like be the man, I guess. He didn't want. He was tired of being bullied. He was the top of the food chain, and he treated it that way. Like I said, I loved it because it was grounded in reality. I loved it that it seemed like a real thing. Great movie. Great superhero movie. Great original idea, in my opinion. Like I said, I wish there was a part 2. I hated that they had to kill out Michael B. Jordan because he was a good character in the movie. If you want to watch this movie, you can find it on Amazon Prime Video, Google Play Movies, Apple TV, and Fandango Home. Definitely check it out. A lot of people don't know a lot about it. A lot of people don't know this movie. Real good movie. That's gonna do it for my video. Hope you liked the video. It's a pretty long video. Didn't expect it to be this long, but it's 5 movies. Let me know what your favorite non-comic book superhero based movie are in the comments or whatever if you want. Appreciate it. I'll respond. Thank you guys for watching. I truly appreciate you guys for being around for 15 minutes watching my video. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. You can put on anybody else's channel and decide to watch mine, so I truly appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. I'll get at y'all on the next one later.